Hey, what's up guys? Frank here. Got some training footage for you. Let me start off by explaining the reason for the title of this video. So normally my training week is 4 days per week, and I'll usually do 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, and 2 off, which gives me plenty of time to recover in between hitting my lifts either 2 or 3 times per week. So this week my schedule did get thrown off a little bit, so I trained on Sunday, and then I was forced to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So recovery was not ideal, and this is high volume week. The last video you saw where I was hitting pretty high volume, 35 reps on the safety squats and board press, and 5 triples for my competition lifts this week at around 83% of my training max. So recovery was definitely not ideal. I was feeling good coming into this workout because I had a day off beforehand, and I was actually really happy with the way these deadlifts felt. These conventional pulls from the floor have not felt good for a while, and I've noticed that my deficit deadlifts have been feeling much better than from the floor, and finally on this day things were feeling amazing. The first rep on that first set actually threw me off at how fast it went up. So you saw my first set there. This is my final 5th set of 3, which I rated at an RPE of 7.5, which means I had definitely 2 left and maybe even 3 reps left in the tank here. So I just improved my setup a little bit, made it just a little bit more efficient. I used to do a little bar roll thing where I would pull it into my legs, so I tried to eliminate that by just setting up a little bit closer to the bar and sinking my hips down a little bit more. So I was really happy with the way these went. So moving into the next day, after doing this pull day, which was deadlifts and a lot of posterior chain stuff, I had to do my competition squats pretty heavy. So 83% again of my training max, which is around 440-ish pounds. So definitely had some fatigue, not feeling as fresh as I would have as if I had my typical rest day in between these 2 workouts. And my hips especially and my glutes were feeling pretty beat up already by this point. So 363 for triples. Actually, a couple weeks ago I hit around 10 pounds heavier, I think, for a set of 6 or 7. So I was hoping that these would still feel okay even with the less time for recovery. I did spend more time this week doing some foam rolling and made sure I really warmed up well and tried to recover as much as possible because it was on such a condensed schedule. Also, I want to point out in this clip here, I made a post on Instagram about this, but if you guys are trying to determine how deep your squats are, like if you're preparing for a competition and want to make sure that you are hitting appropriate depth so you don't get red lighted for that, make sure you're setting it up at your knee height. That will give you the most accurate indication of your depth. If you set the camera up high and have a downward angle, it's going to make your squats look deeper. And if you set it low and have an upwards angle, it's going to make your squats look higher. So just something to keep in mind when you're trying to see how deep you're squatting. And those looked pretty good in my opinion. Depth-wise, I don't think I would have any problems in competition, and I've never really had any issues with that on my squats. So the first set felt pretty good. Like I said, my hips were feeling pretty beat up, especially as I got towards my last set here. So this one I did rate at an 8.5, which means that I had definitely 1 rep left in the tank and maybe 2. So I've been working on my setup and everything. I try to keep everything as strict to how it will be in competition as possible. That's why I really also like these plates that we have here. This is an Ohio power bar. It's the 20 kilo bar, and we have the Avancos, which are calibrated. A lot of the plates, you can see those metal plates laying on the side there. They're just some random brand 45-pound plates, but our owner actually has weighed a bunch of them, and a lot of them are 46 and a half pounds, some of them even up to 47 pounds, which can definitely make a difference, especially when you're starting to work with higher percentages, trying to determine where your strength is at if you're prepping for a meet. So I'm really lucky to have those plates available for me to train with. The reason why I don't use them on bench too often is just because they're on the opposite side of the gym than where the bench is. So it's somewhat of a pain to try to carry them over. The owner of the gym is going to get a dolly, he said, to make it a little bit easier to transport the weights around. But there is also a competition rack that we have with the competition height bench and everything, which I'll definitely start using as we move closer to competition. So this is the final day of the week. I was beat up like crazy on this day. My glutes, my low back, everything was feeling it, but for bench, luckily that doesn't impact me too much. So this was 249 pounds, which I was hitting for 5x3. I decided to hit an AMRAP on the last set just because it was feeling really light. For some reason, my bench at the same percentage as squats and deadlifts always feels lighter up until a certain percentage. So when I'm working with like 85% or less, I can usually hit way more reps on bench than I'd be able to on squat and deadlift. So I did do an AMRAP here. Ended up getting 5 reps with at least 1 left, maybe 2. You can see towards the end of the set, on my last rep, I thought about going for another one. Probably, or definitely would have had at least 1 more, but didn't want to push it too hard. But that was it for this training week. Just wanted to talk about that and how much proper recovery can affect your training. So something always to keep in mind. But thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.